The rain drizzled softly against the window, a familiar sound that often accompanied my thoughts of solitude. I sat at the small kitchen table, a steaming cup of coffee in hand, watching the droplets race each other down the glass. Outside, the vibrant green of Seattle's lush landscape contrasted sharply with the grayness of my mood. I had always found comfort in this city, but lately, its charm felt distant, overshadowed by an ever-deepening sense of discontent. My husband had left for another business trip, his absence becoming a routine that I had grown accustomed to over the years. He was dedicated to his work, a commendable trait, yet it often left our home feeling like a hollow shell. The silence stretched out before me like an uninvited guest. I sipped my coffee slowly, allowing its warmth to seep into my bones as I thought about how our conversations had dwindled to mere exchanges of logistics and responsibilities. The spark we once shared had dimmed under the weight of daily life. Dinner was often a quiet affair these days. When my husband was home, we would sit across from each other at the table, forks clinking against plates as we navigated discussions about bills and weekend plans. Laughter felt like a distant memory, something we used to share before life became a series of obligations. I missed those moments more than I cared to admit. As I stirred my coffee absent-mindedly, my thoughts drifted to family dinners at my in-laws' house. They were filled with laughter and stories from the past that made me feel both included and isolated. My husband's father always commanded attention with his stories, his voice rich and warm, echoing through the dining room like music. I admired him for his wisdom and kindness. There was something comforting about his presence. But lately, something more than admiration had begun to stir within me during those gatherings, a feeling that both thrilled and terrified me. It was subtle at first, a lingering glance across the table or an unguarded moment when our hands brushed while passing dishes. Each interaction felt charged with an unspoken tension that simmered beneath the surface. I shook my head as if to dispel these thoughts. They were dangerous and unwelcome in my mind. Yet they lingered like shadows that refused to fade away completely. That evening, as I prepared for another family dinner at their house, anxiety twisted in my stomach. The air felt thick with expectation as I dressed carefully, selecting a soft sweater that hugged me just right and jeans that flattered without being ostentatious. My husband would be absent again, leaving me alone with them, his parents who had always treated me like their own daughter. Arriving at their home brought back memories of laughter and warmth from years past. However, tonight felt different somehow. As we gathered around the dining table laden with food, a colorful display of roasted vegetables and succulent chicken, I sensed an undercurrent of something unspoken between us. My father-in-law caught my gaze several times throughout dinner, his eyes holding mine just a moment longer than necessary. It sent shivers down my spine yet ignited a flicker of excitement deep within me, an emotion I hadn't felt in far too long. "Have you tried this dish?" he asked casually while passing me a serving spoon filled with fragrant rice pilaf. I nodded appreciatively but struggled to focus on his words. All I could think about was how effortlessly he filled the room with warmth, a stark contrast to the coldness that often settled in our own home when my husband was away. The conversation flowed around us, stories shared between him and his wife, but I found myself increasingly drawn into his orbit. His laughter resonated within me like music that stirred something long dormant. It made me feel alive in ways I'd forgotten existed. As dinner progressed, tension mounted beneath our polite exchanges, the kind only palpable between two people who shared an undeniable connection yet remained tethered by societal expectations and family ties. "Do you remember when we took that trip to Lake Crescent?" he asked suddenly, drawing chuckles from everyone else at the table while looking directly at me. "Yes," I replied softly, recalling how carefree we all seemed back then, the sun shining brightly over shimmering waters as laughter echoed through pine trees lining the shore. His smile widened as he continued reminiscing about fishing trips and campfires under starlit skies while everyone else joined in on fond memories shared over time spent together as family. But amidst this nostalgia lay an unsettling realization. Was this connection merely rooted in familiarity? Or was it something deeper? As he spoke animatedly across the table from me, his hands gesturing enthusiastically, I couldn't shake off how much more alive he made me feel compared to how stifled I'd become within my own marriage. With each passing moment during dinner came another wave of uncertainty crashing over me. Was this fleeting attraction or something more profound? After dessert was served, a decadent chocolate cake adorned with fresh berries, I excused myself briefly from the table under pretense of needing fresh air on their patio outside where twilight settled softly around us like a comforting embrace. Standing there alone momentarily allowed clarity amidst chaos swirling inside. However, it wasn't long before footsteps approached behind me, the unmistakable sound belonging solely to him, the man whose presence both intrigued yet terrified me simultaneously. "Are you all right?" he asked gently as he stepped closer into view against fading light illuminating us both under soft glow emanating from porch lights above us casting shadows around our feet below where secrets lay hidden beneath surface-level appearances maintained throughout evenings. Festivities indoors just moments prior. I nodded despite turmoil brewing inside. Words caught somewhere between heartbeats racing faster than reason could comprehend, leaving vulnerability exposed raw beneath surface-level facades usually worn so well by those seeking normalcy amidst complexities life handed them unexpectedly a long way forward ahead through murky waters filled uncertainty waiting patiently beyond horizon looming ever closer now threatening drown-out voices whispering truths long buried deep inside heart-yearning break. Free finally after years spent suffocating silence surrounding every choice made until now leading down paths less traveled towards unknown destinations waiting patiently ahead beckoning exploration beyond boundaries set forth previously established norms dictated. Society's expectations imposed upon us all without consent offered willingly by those involved ultimately shaping lives lived day after day without question raised aloud for fear repercussions might follow suit swiftly thereafter. Leaving scars invisible yet deeply etched upon souls yearning find solace somewhere amid chaos unfolding all around them constantly shifting sands beneath feet ever-changing course taken onward towards future uncertain still beckoning brightly shining lights, illuminating possibilities awaiting discovery just beyond reach extending hands grasping tightly hold onto dreams long forgotten buried deep within hearts longing escape reality holding fast tightly clinging desperately onto hope still. Flickering dimly somewhere within darkness enveloping everything surrounding them completely threatening consume entirely unless steps taken boldly forth into unknown territories awaiting exploration beyond confines established previously limiting potential. Growth experienced fully a long journey embarked upon together seeking understanding connection lost a long way forward ahead promising bright new beginnings waiting patiently just beyond horizon looming ever closer now calling forth courage. Needed venture forth bravely into realms unexplored discovering newfound strength hidden deep inside waiting patiently emerge finally liberated breaking free shackles binding tightly holding captive hearts yearning soar high above clouds drifting freely skyward reaching heights never imagined possible before today embarking on adventures awaiting discovery just outside comfort zones established previously limiting scope possibilities envisioned once upon time maybe even finding love unexpected. Places discovered anew a long journey traveled together forever changed irrevocably thereafter shaping destinies intertwined forevermore weaving intricate tapestry lives lived intertwined beautifully together forevermore witnessing miracles unfold daily. Reminding us magic exists everywhere around us if only willing open eyes hearts allow see clearly truth shining brightly illuminating paths illuminated brightly guiding footsteps onward toward destiny awaiting discovery eagerly embracing changes. Unfolding swiftly unexpected ways leading ultimately toward fulfillment dreams cherished deeply held tightly close hearts yearning find peace joy amidst chaos surrounding everything unfolding constantly changing course taken onward toward brighter horizons beckoning. Exploration endlessly inviting adventure awaits discovery endlessly awaiting those brave enough dare step forth boldly into unknown territories awaiting exploration forevermore. The community festival buzzed with life. The air thick with laughter and the scent of roasted coffee mingling with fresh pastries. I wandered through the crowd, feeling both present and distant, a spectator in my own life. The vibrant colors of the stalls and the cheerful music were a stark contrast to the grayness that had settled in my heart. I glanced at my husband, who was engrossed in a conversation with a friend, oblivious to the turmoil inside me. As I strolled past booths filled with handmade crafts and art, I caught sight of him, my father-in-law, standing near a display of local paintings. He seemed lost in thought, his expression contemplative as he admired a piece depicting a serene landscape. A pang of something stirred within me at the sight of him, an emotion that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. "Beautiful, isn't it?" I ventured cautiously, approaching him. He turned to me, his face breaking into a warm smile that sent an unexpected thrill through me. "It really is. The colors are so vibrant," he replied, his voice steady yet inviting. We stood side by side for a moment, our gazes fixed on the painting. The world around us faded as silence enveloped us, a comfortable silence that spoke volumes more than words ever could. In that shared moment, I felt an unspoken connection grow stronger between us. "Do you come to these often?" he asked eventually, breaking the spell. I shrugged lightly. "Not really. Just trying to find something different to do." I hesitated before adding softly, "I guess life has been predictable lately." His eyes searched mine for understanding. "Predictable can be comforting but also stifling," he said thoughtfully. The weight of his words lingered in the air like an uninvited guest. My heart raced at how easily we slipped into this intimate conversation amidst the chaos around us. I wanted to confide more, to share my frustrations about my marriage and how lonely it felt sometimes, but fear held me back. Instead, we continued talking about art and life's little joys while weaving through the festival stalls. Each shared laugh and knowing glance deepened our connection further than I had anticipated. Guilt crept into my mind like an unwelcome shadow. It twisted around my thoughts even as warmth blossomed in my chest. As we reached a quieter section of the park where families gathered for picnic lunches and children played nearby, our conversation shifted slightly. He leaned closer as if sharing a secret meant only for me. "Sometimes it's easy to forget what truly matters." His words resonated deeply within me. They felt like an echo of everything I had been yearning for, a reminder of what was missing from my own life. It was then that I realized how much I craved understanding and connection, how desperately I sought solace from someone who could see beyond my facade. In that moment of vulnerability, our eyes locked again. Something shifted in his gaze, a flicker of desire mixed with concern reflected back at me. Time seemed to stand still as we stood there under the dappled sunlight filtering through leaves overhead. Then it happened, we kissed. The world around us blurred into insignificance as our lips met softly yet fervently, a tentative exploration that ignited something deep within both of us. For those brief seconds, nothing else mattered. All doubts faded away as passion surged through every fiber of my being. But just as quickly as it began, reality crashed back down upon us like cold water splashing against warm skin. We broke apart abruptly, breathless and wide-eyed with shock at what we had done, a line crossed that could never be uncrossed. "I shouldn't have," he started but trailed off, uncertainty clouding his features. "No," I interrupted softly but firmly, panic rising in my chest like bile. "We shouldn't have." Silence enveloped us once more as we stood there grappling with what had just transpired, the weight of guilt heavy on our shoulders now mingling with an undeniable spark between us. The festival continued around us, children laughing and parents chatting, but all I could focus on was him. His presence felt intoxicating yet dangerous at once. What would happen next? How could we go back after this? As if sensing my turmoil, he stepped back slightly but kept his eyes locked onto mine, searching for clarity or perhaps reassurance amid chaos swirling within both our hearts. "I need some air," I murmured finally before turning away from him abruptly and forcing myself through the throngs of festival-goers who remained blissfully unaware of our secret turmoil hidden beneath smiles exchanged so casually moments before. I wandered aimlessly through stalls filled with colorful trinkets until finding refuge beneath an old oak tree where shadows danced playfully across grass below. A sanctuary away from prying eyes but not from haunting thoughts swirling relentlessly inside me, now amplified by fear over consequences looming large ahead. What had started out as innocent curiosity had spiraled into something far more complex than either one of us anticipated, and now there was no turning back without leaving scars etched forever upon our souls, intertwined irrevocably together despite all odds stacked against us, moving forward into uncertain futures awaiting discovery, eagerly yet fraught with perilous choices looming ominously close ahead. A voice broke through my thoughts suddenly, my husband calling out for me from afar. Panic surged anew within me at realization time was slipping away faster than anticipated, leaving little room left for contemplation over next steps taken onward toward inevitable confrontation awaiting just beyond horizon, beckoning. Exploration, endlessly inviting adventure awaits discovery forevermore. The sound of my husband's voice echoed through the house, pulling me from the whirlwind of thoughts that had consumed me. I stood frozen, a mix of guilt and anxiety swirling within. The weight of our shared secret pressed heavily against my chest, suffocating yet exhilarating in its complexity. Each moment spent with him felt like stepping into a world where I could breathe freely, but now reality encroached upon that fragile space. "Are you coming?" he called again, his tone light, unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. I forced a smile, though it faltered as I glanced toward the kitchen where our last family dinner had unfolded with unspoken tension. The memory lingered, his father sitting across from me, laughter mingling with stolen glances that ignited something deep inside. "I'll be right there," I replied, my voice steady but strained. As I moved toward the living room where he waited, I couldn't shake the feeling that every step brought me closer to an inevitable confrontation. My heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. My husband's return had disrupted everything we had begun to explore. In the living room, my husband sat casually on the couch, a newspaper spread out before him. He looked up with a warm smile that made my heart ache. "How was your day?" he asked, his eyes bright and genuine. I hesitated for a moment before responding, searching for words that wouldn't betray my inner turmoil. "It was fine," I managed to say, forcing my lips into a semblance of cheerfulness. But inside, emotions churned violently, longing for understanding and connection battled against guilt and shame for what had transpired in his absence. "Just finished reading about that new art exhibit downtown," he continued, oblivious to the tension simmering beneath our conversation. "We should check it out this weekend." I nodded absently, thoughts drifting back to him, the man who had become both a refuge and a source of chaos in my life. Our secret rendezvous felt like stepping onto thin ice, thrilling yet terrifying with every fleeting moment we shared together. As we settled into casual conversation about mundane topics, work deadlines and neighborhood gossip, I couldn't help but glance toward the door leading to the hallway where he often lingered after family dinners. The memory of our last encounter played on repeat in my mind, how close we had been when our lips met for that brief moment, a collision of longing and fear that left us both breathless. "Do you think we should invite your parents over for dinner soon?" he asked suddenly, breaking through my reverie. The question hung in the air like an unwelcome guest. My stomach twisted at the thought. An evening filled with laughter would only serve as a reminder of what lay hidden beneath our familial bonds. "Maybe," I replied cautiously, trying to maintain an even tone while feeling unmoored by uncertainty. He leaned back against the couch, considering my response while flipping through pages of newsprint as if searching for something profound within them. Each rustle echoed loudly in my ears, a reminder that time was slipping away from us both. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, a sharp sound that shattered our fragile bubble of normalcy. My heart raced as dread washed over me. It could only be one person, the man who held pieces of my heart in his hands. "I'll get it," I said quickly before he could rise from his seat. A sense of urgency propelled me forward as I approached the door cautiously. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to turn back and hide from what awaited beyond it. I opened it slowly to reveal him standing there, my father-in-law, with an unreadable expression on his face. Relief mingled with panic as he stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. The air thickened around us. Electricity crackled in every glance exchanged between us as if we were caught in an invisible web spun by our own desires. "Hey," he said softly, attempting nonchalance while his eyes searched mine for answers neither of us could articulate aloud. "Hi," I managed to reply, feeling exposed under his gaze yet exhilarated by his presence all at once. My husband's voice drifted from behind me as he approached cautiously. "Dad? What brings you here?" The tension escalated palpably as they exchanged pleasantries. Each word felt laden with unspoken truths hanging precariously between us like delicate glass poised on a knife's edge ready to shatter at any moment. "I just wanted to drop off some things you left at our place," he said casually but cast another glance toward me, one filled with yearning and questions unasked yet understood deeply between us both. As they chatted about trivial matters, sports scores and neighborhood happenings, I stood silently beside them grappling with conflicting emotions swirling within. Love for my husband battling against this newfound connection threatening to unravel everything familiar and safe around us all too easily. Suddenly aware that they were discussing plans for dinner next week, a gathering involving family members who knew nothing about what lay hidden beneath surface appearances. I felt suffocated by impending decisions looming ever closer around corners waiting patiently ready to pounce upon unsuspecting hearts caught unaware. "What do you think?" My husband turned towards me expectantly after finishing his thoughts about inviting everyone over again soon enough without realizing how much was at stake beneath casual conversations filled with laughter shared among loved ones who remained blissfully ignorant regarding deeper realities lurking just below surface-level interactions held together by fragile threads fraying dangerously close. "I think that sounds nice," I replied hesitantly while avoiding eye contact with either man present, knowing full well those words concealed deeper complexities lying dormant waiting patiently until they could no longer remain hidden away from prying eyes seeking truth amidst tangled webs spun intricately around lives intertwined irrevocably forevermore. As evening wore on into nightfall outside, casting shadows across familiar walls, enclosing secrets yearning desperately for release finally, I found myself standing alone in kitchen staring blankly into empty space reflecting upon choices made thus far leading down paths uncertain yet undeniably thrilling beckoning exploration endlessly inviting adventure awaiting discovery forevermore. The kitchen felt unusually quiet, the hum of the refrigerator a stark contrast to the whirlwind of thoughts racing through my mind. I leaned against the counter, staring at the empty space where a family dinner had just unfolded. The weight of my choices pressed down on me, each moment replaying like a film loop, reminding me of the thrill and guilt intertwined in our encounters. He had left for a brief trip, leaving us alone in this house filled with memories. I could still hear his laughter echoing in the hallways, a sound that now seemed to taunt me with its familiarity. The silence was palpable, thick with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. I glanced at the family photo hanging on the wall, my husband's childhood smile frozen in time next to his father's proud expression. It struck me how quickly things had shifted beneath our feet. I took a deep breath, trying to ground myself. The decision to engage with him had been impulsive yet felt so right in those fleeting moments we shared. But now? Now it was layered with complexity and dread. What did it mean for us? For our family? As I stood there lost in thought, my phone buzzed on the countertop, a message from him. "Just checking in. Hope you're okay." My heart raced at his words, they were both comforting and unsettling. I typed back a quick reply, "I'm fine. Just busy." The truth was far more complicated than that simple message conveyed. The evening wore on slowly as shadows danced across the walls, reminding me of our last encounter, the one where we spent the night together. It was an escape from reality that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. We had shared stories and laughter under the cover of darkness, letting our guard down as we navigated uncharted territory together. But what would happen when morning came? Reality always returned like an unwelcome visitor knocking at the door. Later that night, as I sat curled up on the couch with a book, an attempt to distract myself from spiraling thoughts, I heard a soft knock at the door. My heart leaped into my throat. It wasn't like him to drop by unannounced. Hesitantly, I opened it to find him standing there, looking slightly disheveled yet undeniably handsome. "I thought you might want company," he said softly, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Isn't this risky?" My voice trembled slightly as I closed the door behind him. He shrugged casually, but his eyes betrayed an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "Maybe we need some risk." We settled into an uneasy rhythm as we talked about mundane topics, work and family gatherings, but beneath it all lay an electric tension simmering just below the surface. Each laugh echoed louder than before, every shared glance lingered longer than necessary. Then he reached out and brushed his fingers against mine, a simple touch that ignited something deep within me again. The world outside faded away as we both leaned closer, caught up in an unspoken understanding that transcended words. "I shouldn't want this," I whispered finally, breaking our gaze momentarily. "But you do," he replied gently, his voice barely above a whisper yet firm enough to send ripples through my resolve. Suddenly, a loud crash outside startled us both back into reality, a neighbor's trash can toppling over in the wind perhaps, or maybe something more ominous lurking outside our bubble of intimacy. Whatever it was snapped me back to clarity. This couldn't continue without consequences looming large over us like storm clouds threatening rain. "Maybe we should stop," I suggested hesitantly, even though every fiber of my being screamed against it. He shook his head slowly but firmly, as if weighing each word carefully before speaking again. "Do you really want that?" In that moment of vulnerability between us hung countless possibilities intertwined with fears unspoken yet palpable enough to feel their weight pressing down upon us both heavily like leaden chains binding us together despite everything urging separation instead. As dawn broke hours later and sunlight streamed through windows illuminating dust motes dancing freely, a stark contrast against darkness encasing secrets, the reality of what we'd done settled heavily upon my shoulders once more like an anchor dragging me deeper into murky waters threatening to drown any semblance of normalcy left within reach. I found myself staring out into the brightening day, wondering how long until everything unraveled completely around us, until whispers turned into shouts echoing throughout our lives, disrupting fragile peace once held dear. Then came another knock at the door, the kind that jolts your heart into your throat because it signals intrusion rather than comfort or companionship. My husband stood there looking concerned yet oblivious, while behind him lay chaos waiting patiently just beyond sight, ready to pounce upon unsuspecting lives caught unaware by whims spun recklessly without foresight. "Is everything okay?" His eyes searched mine for answers hidden beneath layers carefully constructed over years, meant to protect from such moments where reality collides violently against dreams long buried beneath responsibilities demanding attention first. "Yes," I managed finally, though uncertainty lingered thickly between us like fog refusing to lift no matter how bright sunlight shone through trees lining street outside, beckoning warmth promising clarity perhaps. But clarity felt elusive now, a mirage shimmering just beyond grasp, tempting yet forever out of reach. The house felt different in the silence that followed my husband's abrupt departure. Shadows stretched across the living room, casting an uneasy atmosphere that echoed the turmoil inside me. I could hear the faint sound of rain tapping against the window, a reminder of the world outside that continued to turn while I stood still, caught in this web of emotions. I wandered into the kitchen, where remnants of our last family dinner lingered like ghosts. The table was set for 3, but now it felt like a stage for a play that had lost its audience. The clinking of dishes and soft laughter from those evenings seemed like distant memories, overshadowed by the weight of my choices. I poured myself a cup of coffee, its warmth grounding me amidst my spiraling thoughts. As I sat at the table, I couldn't shake off the feeling of judgment lurking in every corner of my mind. What would people say if they knew? What would my husband think if he found out? Guilt twisted in my stomach as I recalled our last encounter, the way his eyes had searched mine for something unspoken, something we both craved yet feared to acknowledge. The doorbell rang unexpectedly, jolting me from my reverie. My heart raced as I approached the door, unsure of who might be on the other side. Peering through the peephole revealed familiar faces, friends from our old neighborhood, their smiles bright and inviting. With a deep breath to steady myself, I opened the door. "Surprise!" they exclaimed in unison, stepping into our home with an air of excitement that felt foreign to me now. They were oblivious to the storm brewing within me as they chatted animatedly about their recent adventures and shared laughter that filled the air like music. "Where's your husband?" one friend asked casually as they settled into our living room. "He's away on business," I replied, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than genuine warmth. "Oh. You must be missing him," another added cheerfully. "We should do this more often, it's nice to have some girl time." I nodded absently while internally grappling with how much longer I could maintain this facade. Their presence was a distraction but also a reminder of what was at stake, the life I had built versus the emotional connection that had blossomed unexpectedly with someone else. As they filled my kitchen with laughter and stories over coffee and pastries, I couldn't help but glance toward my phone resting on the counter, waiting for any sign from him. The man who had ignited something deep within me was just a message away, yet here I was pretending everything was fine. The conversation shifted towards relationships, a topic that made my heart race for all the wrong reasons. "You know," one friend began thoughtfully, "sometimes it's easy to get caught up in routines and forget what brought you together in the first place." Her words struck a chord deep within me. Did she sense what lay beneath my surface? Did she know about those stolen moments shared with my father-in-law? My thoughts spiraled further as they continued discussing love and loyalty while I nodded along mechanically. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a chance encounter awaited me at our local cafe just down the street after they left. It had become a sanctuary where art met coffee culture. Vibrant paintings adorned walls while patrons lost themselves in conversation or quiet reflection over steaming cups. As I entered, familiar scents enveloped me, rich espresso mingling with sweet pastries, and for an instant, it felt comforting until reality crashed back in like an unwelcome wave. He sat at our usual table near the window, his presence both thrilling and terrifying. I hesitated before approaching him. Uncertainty gripped me tighter than ever before. Would we speak about what happened? Or would we pretend nothing existed beyond those moments shared? "Hey," he greeted softly as if he'd been waiting for me all along. "Hi," came out too weakly from my lips as I slid into the seat opposite him. Silence hung between us like an unspoken agreement, both aware of what lingered beneath our casual exchanges but unwilling to name it aloud. He studied me closely, his gaze searching for answers hidden behind layers of confusion and guilt. "I've been thinking," he started hesitantly before trailing off as if unsure how to articulate his thoughts without shattering whatever fragile connection remained intact between us. "About?" My heart raced at his words, anticipation thrummed through every nerve ending. "About us." His voice dropped lower, intimate yet cautious, as though he feared crossing an invisible line neither wanted to acknowledge openly yet both understood implicitly existed between us. The cafe buzzed around us, laughter erupted from nearby tables while baristas called out orders, but here we were cocooned in our own world fraught with tension thick enough to cut through silence surrounding us. "I don't want things to change," he confessed finally after what felt like an eternity stretched between us, words hanging heavy in air filled with unsaid promises and fears alike swirling together endlessly tangled within each other's gaze. Just then, a sudden realization crashed upon me. My husband would return home soon. Time slipped away like sand through fingers unable to hold on to fleeting moments spent together amidst chaos unfolding outside these walls surrounding us both now. A pang shot through my chest at that thought, Uncertainty gripped tighter than before as dread settled heavily upon shoulders already burdened by secrets kept too long hidden beneath surface-level smiles worn daily around friends who remained blissfully unaware. "What are we doing?" My voice trembled slightly, a whisper barely audible above noise surrounding us, but it held weight, truth laid bare amidst layers carefully constructed over time slowly unraveling thread by thread. His eyes softened momentarily before flickering away toward window-framed view outside, a world moving forward without concern for consequences looming ahead threatening everything once thought secure. "I don't know," he admitted quietly after taking pause reflecting deeply upon question posed. A vulnerability shared between two souls caught within tumultuous tides pulling them apart yet binding them closer still despite everything else pushing against them fiercely pushing towards inevitable conclusion waiting just beyond horizon looming ahead. And then, the door swung open behind me unexpectedly breaking spell cast over moment shared together. My heart sank instantly recognizing familiar silhouette stepping inside cafe catching sight of us locked together across table. My husband stood there frozen momentarily catching glimpse before realization dawned upon him, eyes widening slowly transforming shock into something darker simmering beneath surface threatening eruption any second now. I stood frozen, the warmth of the cafe suddenly replaced by an icy grip of dread. My husband's expression morphed from surprise to something darker, a storm brewing in his eyes. He took a step forward, and I instinctively reached for my coffee, as if it could shield me from the reality crashing down around us. "Why are you two?" His voice trailed off, thick with disbelief. The question hung in the air like a heavy fog, suffocating and oppressive. I glanced at my father-in-law, who sat across from me, his face pale and tense. Our secret felt like a fragile glass ornament, teetering on the edge of a table, ready to shatter at any moment. I could see him searching for words, but nothing came. Instead, he looked down at his untouched cup of tea as if it held all the answers. "I can explain," I finally managed to say, my voice trembling slightly. "Explain what?" "How you're here with my father." The bitterness in his tone cut through me. "Is this what you do when I'm not around?" "No. It's not like that," I insisted, though I wasn't sure how to articulate the truth without unraveling everything. He turned away from me, shaking his head in disbelief. "You've been unhappy for years. I thought we were working on it." His words struck deep, they were laced with hurt and confusion. "I thought we were too," I replied softly, guilt washing over me like a cold wave. "But things just happened." "Things just happened," he echoed incredulously. "You don't get to say that after." "It was one moment," I interrupted desperately. One moment that spiraled out of control. My husband's eyes narrowed as he stepped closer again. "One moment? Is that what you call it? You're sitting here with him, my father, while I'm out trying to provide for this family." The weight of his accusation hung heavy between us. Each word felt like a stone thrown into still water, rippling outward with consequences neither of us could predict. "I didn't seek this out," I said quietly, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes. "I was lonely." "Lonely," he repeated incredulously. "And you think that justifies this?" I glanced back at my father-in-law again. He looked older in that moment, worn by choices made and paths taken long before either of us entered this tangled web. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," I admitted softly, my voice barely above a whisper. "What do you want?" My husband's question pierced through the air like an arrow aimed straight for my heart. What did I want? The answer felt elusive as if it were hiding just out of reach behind layers of regret and longing. My voice faltered as uncertainty gripped me tightly. "I want to feel connected again, to feel seen." His expression softened slightly but quickly hardened again as reality settled back in place between us. "And you think being with him makes you feel seen?" "It's complicated," I murmured, glancing back at my father-in-law once more, his gaze fixed firmly on the table now as if avoiding the fallout entirely. Complicated doesn't even begin to cover it. My husband shook his head slowly, disappointment etched deeply into every feature. The cafe around us buzzed with life, the clinking of cups and low murmurs contrasting sharply against our escalating tension. A couple nearby laughed lightly over their drinks, their joy felt foreign and distant from our reality. "I need time," he said finally after what felt like hours stretched painfully between us. Time? The word fell flat in the air, a mere echo of hope amidst despair. "Yes." He ran a hand through his hair in frustration before continuing quietly, "I can't deal with this right now." With that finality hanging heavily between us, he turned on his heel and walked out into the Seattle rain, a storm brewing outside matching the tempest inside me perfectly. As silence enveloped me within those four walls filled only by distant chatter and hissing espresso machines, reality crashed down harder than ever before. I was left alone staring across at my father-in-law who had once been an anchor in turbulent waters now felt like another ship lost at sea. "What do we do now?" His voice broke through my thoughts, a soft question laced with concern yet tinged by uncertainty too. "I don't know." The admission felt raw yet liberating in its honesty despite its weighty consequences looming overhead threatening to overshadow everything else we shared until now. The connection forged amidst chaos now lay bare before scrutiny without any protective walls remaining intact. A moment passed where neither of us spoke, instead we simply exchanged glances filled with unspoken understanding. A bond forged through shared experiences both beautiful yet painful hanging precariously on fragile threads woven together over time spent together navigating complexities surrounding family ties intertwined deeper than either could fully comprehend or articulate clearly anymore without fear spilling forth into open air tainted by judgment lurking ever closer around corners waiting. Patiently ready strike when least expected. Then an unexpected voice broke our silence, a familiar one cutting through tension surrounding us both sharply. An old friend unexpectedly entered cafe seeking comfort amidst chaos swirling outside unrelenting against glass panes framing world beyond our bubble temporarily shielding fragile moments shared within these walls safe from prying eyes seeking answers they weren't meant to find. "Oh. What are you two doing here?" she exclaimed brightly unaware tension thickening atmosphere surrounding us tightly casting shadows upon smiles meant radiate warmth instead illuminating cracks revealing deeper truths hidden below surface bubbling beneath facade crafted carefully over years spent maintaining appearances while battling inner demons quietly raging silently beneath surface unseen. "We're just catching up," my father-in-law replied too quickly glancing sideways toward me almost pleadingly searching for reassurance desperately needed bridge gap separating worlds colliding unexpectedly against backdrop life unfolding unpredictably around each turn taken swiftly. Without warning leaving behind remnants shattered dreams hopes dashed against jagged edges reality biting fiercely reminding everyone involved choices made carry weight far beyond immediate moment lived fleetingly. Fading memories lost forever unless captured somehow held tightly within heart's desperate cling onto fragments remaining despite odds stacked higher than ever imagined possible. "What about you?" He continued attempting redirect conversation away uncomfortable truths lingering unspoken threatening unravel everything held dear already frayed edges beginning show signs were tearing apart slowly inch by inch until nothing left but empty shells once. Vibrant filled laughter joy shared freely among friends now replaced silence echoing loudly reminding everyone present struggles faced daily often overlooked ignored until forced confront harsh realities laid bare exposed under bright lights. Shining harshly illuminating flaws imperfections hidden beneath surface polished facade carefully maintained facade crumbling under pressure applied relentlessly day after day pushing boundaries testing limits stretching thin until finally breaking point reached sending ripples throughout lives interconnected intricately woven together somehow bound fate intertwined destiny unfolding unpredictably leading somewhere unknown. Her laughter rang out bright against backdrop chaos swirling around us, yet felt hollow, almost mocking reminder. Fleeting moments cherished slipping away, grasp fingertips unable hold tight enough, prevent inevitable loss looming closer, every second ticking away. Relentlessly counting down, clock ticking ever louder, drowning out whispers, hope flickering dimly beneath surface where light struggled penetrate darkness, creeping steadily forward, consuming everything left behind, slowly extinguishing flames. Once burned brightly illuminating paths traveled together side by side, navigating twists, turns, faced bravely, united strength found within bonds forged, deep-rooted connections formed over years spent weathering storms together, hand in hand, facing challenges head-on, refusing back down despite odds stacked high against them, determined fight until very end regardless outcome, uncertain lingering always overhead, casting shadows, doubt creeping ever closer, threatening engulf entire world built carefully, painstakingly, piece by piece, brick by brick, until nothing remained but ashes, scattered winds carrying whispers, memories lost forever fading into oblivion, leaving only echoes haunting hearts yearning desperately reclaim what lost a long way, forgotten somewhere. Between laughter, tears, shared moments passed unnoticed, forgotten amidst chaos, life unfolded unpredictably, leaving behind traces, remnants, lingering memories etched deep within souls forever changed, shaped, molded, experiences lived, breathed, fought hard, endure battle, fought daily, seeking solace, finding peace amid turmoil surrounding, endlessly searching meaning, purpose, longing, connection found, only fleeting glimpses caught sight briefly before disappearing once more into abyss, darkness swallowing whole, leaving nothing behind except emptiness, aching void, desperate fill, longing fill, yearning fill, heartbroken, shattered pieces, scattered ground, waiting patiently, picked up, reassembled, carefully stitched back together somehow, hoping restore balance, harmony once known, return again someday soon. The family gathering loomed like a storm cloud, heavy with unspoken truths and simmering tensions. As I prepared the house, every dish I set on the table felt like a mask hiding the chaos within. My husband would be home soon, and with him, the weight of normalcy I had struggled to maintain. The laughter of our children echoed through the halls, blissfully unaware of the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. I glanced at my phone, half expecting a message that would never come. The absence of communication from him was deafening. He had been distant lately, absorbed in his own world, while I wrestled with emotions that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. The connection we shared was undeniable, yet it danced dangerously close to the edge of everything I held dear. As guests began to arrive, I plastered on a smile and welcomed them into our home. The chatter filled the air, drowning out my thoughts momentarily. But amidst the laughter and clinking glasses, my gaze drifted toward him, my father-in-law, standing slightly apart from the crowd. His presence was magnetic, drawing me in even as I fought against it. "Can you help me with this?" he asked softly as he approached me in the kitchen, gesturing toward a tray of hors d'oeuvres that needed arranging. "Of course," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the fluttering in my chest. Our fingers brushed as we reached for a plate simultaneously, sending an electric jolt through me that felt impossibly familiar. "I've missed our talks," he said quietly, his eyes searching mine for something unnameable. "Me too," I admitted before quickly glancing away. The weight of those words settled between us like an uninvited guest. The evening unfolded around us like a carefully choreographed dance. We exchanged fleeting glances across the table while pretending to engage in conversations about mundane topics. Yet beneath our polite smiles lay an undercurrent of tension that threatened to spill over at any moment. As dessert was served, laughter erupted around us, a stark contrast to my internal struggle. My husband's voice boomed as he recounted a humorous story from work. Everyone erupted into fits of laughter while I sat frozen in place. My heart raced as I caught my father-in-law's eye again. There was an understanding there that transcended words. Then came an unexpected twist. A conversation from across the table caught my attention. A relative spoke about loyalty and commitment in relationships, her tone light yet laced with judgment. "It's all about trust," she said cheerfully, oblivious to how her words pierced through me like daggers. I felt heat rise to my cheeks as I grasped for composure, every word hung heavily in the air around us. My father-in-law's expression shifted subtly, concern mingled with something deeper that made my heart race even faster. "Let's get some fresh air," he suggested suddenly, standing up and gesturing toward the back door before anyone could protest. I followed him outside into the cool evening air where stars twinkled overhead like distant promises waiting to be fulfilled. We stood side by side on the patio, silence stretching between us until he finally spoke again. "It's hard pretending everything is fine when it isn't," he said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper but filled with weighty truth. "I know," I replied honestly, vulnerability crept into my words unbidden but necessary all at once. "I'm just trying to hold it all together." He turned to face me fully now, his eyes searched mine with an intensity that made my breath hitch in my throat. "You don't have to do this alone." In that moment, time stood still as we stood there on that patio beneath a sky full of stars, two souls caught between duty and desire yearning for something more than what life had given them. Just then, laughter erupted from inside, a reminder of reality crashing down upon us like cold water splashed across warm skin after too long spent in sunlight together without acknowledging shadows lurking nearby. "We should go back inside," I suggested reluctantly but felt his hand brush against mine once more before pulling away entirely, a fleeting touch leaving behind warmth lingering long after contact faded away. As we re-entered the house filled with chatter and lightheartedness masking deeper issues simmering beneath surface-level smiles exchanged among family members gathered around dining table laden down with remnants from earlier feasts shared together throughout years gone by. The past colliding violently against present circumstances threatening unravel everything built upon trust foundations shaky at best now crumbling slowly under pressure applied steadily over time without respite offered anywhere nearby except perhaps within each other's arms if only allowed themselves indulge such fantasies whispered softly behind closed doors where no one else could hear them breathe life into dreams long extinguished under weight societal expectations bearing down heavily upon shoulders already burdened enough without adding extra layers guilt shame regret piled high atop one another suffocating slowly day after day until nothing remained but ashes scattered winds carrying whispers memories lost forever fading into oblivion leaving only echoes haunting hearts yearning desperately reclaim what lost a long way forgotten somewhere between laughter tears shared moments passed unnoticed forgotten amidst chaos life unfolded unpredictably leaving behind traces remnants lingering memories etched deep within souls forever changed shaped molded experiences lived breathed fought hard endure battle fought daily seeking solace finding peace amid turmoil surrounding endlessly searching meaning purpose longing connection found only fleeting glimpses caught sight briefly before disappearing once more into abyss darkness swallowing whole leaving nothing behind except emptiness aching void desperate fill longing fill yearning fill heartbroken shattered pieces scattered ground waiting patiently picked up reassembled carefully stitched back together somehow hoping restore balance harmony once known return again someday soon. The night wore on. Laughter echoed through walls thickened by secrets kept hidden away from prying eyes unable comprehend complexities woven intricately throughout lives intertwined so deeply roots grown strong enough withstand storms raging outside begging release yet knowing full well consequences awaited should ever dare stray too far beyond boundaries set forth long ago established meant protect preserve sanctity family bonds forged tightly held together despite cracks appearing slowly over time threatening break apart completely if not tended carefully nurtured properly lest fall prey temptations lurking just beyond reach beckoning softly urging surrender desires long buried deep within hearts aching reveal truths concealed hidden shadows cast across bright shining surfaces polished smooth reflecting only what wanted seen not what truly lay beneath layers carefully constructed facades crafted expertly disguised realities faced daily navigating treacherous waters fraught danger lurking just below surface waiting patiently strike when least expected catching off guard leaving vulnerable exposed raw stripped bare nothing left hide behind anymore except shame regret sorrow clinging tightly refusing let go dragging down further depths despair Hopelessness creeping closer, threatening drown completely unless found way back shore. Safe harbor sought refuge amidst chaos swirling all around, desperately seeking solace, peace, quiet comfort found nowhere else except perhaps within arms. One another, if only allowed themselves indulge such fantasies, whispered softly behind closed doors where no one else could hear them breathe life, dreams long extinguished. The evening drew to a close. Guests began filtering out one by one until silence enveloped our home once more. A stark contrast against earlier vibrancy filling space moments ago. Alive, bustling energy now replaced tranquility, settling heavily upon shoulders weighed down, burdens carried alone too long without respite offered anywhere nearby except perhaps within each other's arms, if only dared venture forth, step beyond familiar boundaries crossed previously, never looked back since first initiated. Spark ignited flames burning brightly, illuminating path ahead, leading toward unknown territories, unexplored, uncharted realms, beckoning softly, urging surrender. Desires long buried deep within hearts aching reveal truths concealed, hidden shadows cast across bright, shining surfaces, polished smooth, reflecting only what wanted seen, not what truly lay beneath layers. Carefully constructed facades crafted, expertly disguised realities faced daily, navigating treacherous waters, fraught danger lurking just below surface, waiting patiently, strike when least expected, catching off guard, leaving vulnerable, exposed, raw, stripped bare, nothing left hide behind anymore except shame, regret, sorrow, clinging tightly, refusing let go, dragging down further depths, despair, hopelessness creeping closer, threatening drown completely unless found way back shore. Safe harbor sought refuge amidst chaos swirling all around, desperately seeking solace, peace, quiet comfort found nowhere else except perhaps within arms. One another, if only allowed themselves indulge such fantasies, whispered softly behind closed doors where no one else could hear them breathe life, dreams long extinguished. The house was quiet, the kind of silence that hangs heavy in the air after a storm. I stood in the dim light of the living room, my heart racing as I replayed the conversation with my husband in my mind. He had looked at me with an intensity that felt both familiar and foreign, his eyes searching for something beneath my surface. I had tried to be composed, but every word felt like a tightrope walk over an abyss. "I don't want to lose you," he had said, his voice thick with emotion. "But I can't keep pretending everything is fine." His honesty struck me like a bolt of lightning, illuminating the shadows of our lives together. I had nodded, unable to find words that could encapsulate the turmoil within me. The weight of unspoken truths hung between us like a thick fog, suffocating yet oddly comforting. Now, as I stood alone in our home, echoes of his words reverberated through my mind. What did I truly want? The thrill of secrecy with him, my father-in-law, had become intoxicating, yet it was laced with guilt and fear. Each moment spent together felt like walking a tightrope over an uncertain future. Then there were memories of family dinners where laughter masked underlying tension. The way he looked at me across the table made me feel seen in ways I hadn't experienced in years. Those stolen glances held promises unfulfilled and desires unspoken. As if summoned by my thoughts, he appeared at the door, his presence filling the space with an undeniable warmth. "I wasn't sure if you'd be here," he said softly, stepping inside and closing the door behind him. "Neither was I," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. He approached slowly, his expression serious yet tender. "I've been thinking about what we talked about." "Me too." The admission slipped out before I could stop it. He took a step closer, and suddenly all those moments we shared rushed back, the laughter during quiet afternoons at coffee shops and those lingering looks at art galleries that spoke volumes without uttering a single word. "I don't want to complicate things," he said cautiously. "But there's something between us that can't be ignored." My heart raced as his words hung in the air between us like an uninvited guest. "What do we do?" He hesitated for a moment before responding. "We need to decide what this means for both of us." The weight of his gaze felt heavy on my skin as if he were peeling back layers of pretense that cloaked our relationship for far too long. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. "I can't keep living this lie," I confessed, feeling vulnerable under his scrutiny. Then let's be honest. His voice was steady but edged with urgency. Before I could respond, there was a knock on the door, sharp and jarring against our fragile moment. My stomach dropped as dread washed over me. It could only be one person, my husband returning unexpectedly from his trip. "We need to talk," he said as he stepped inside again, confusion etched across his face when he saw us standing so close together. In that instant, time seemed to freeze. My heart raced as panic surged through me. It felt like being caught in a storm without shelter or hope for rescue. "What's going on here?" My husband's voice broke through the silence, a mix of confusion and hurt evident in every syllable. We were just, my words stumbled over themselves as fear gripped me tightly. "Just what?" His eyes darted between us, searching for answers hidden beneath our expressions. The tension in the room thickened like molasses, every second stretched into eternity as silence enveloped us again. My father-in-law shifted slightly beside me. We both knew this confrontation could change everything. "I came to talk about us," he finally said slowly, choosing each word carefully as if they were fragile glass ornaments hanging by threads from a tree that might shatter under pressure if not handled delicately. My husband's brow furrowed deeper. Uncertainty danced across his features as realization flickered behind his eyes, an understanding dawning amidst confusion and betrayal intertwined like vines choking out light from above. "What does that mean?" he asked quietly but firmly now. Anger simmered beneath the surface, waiting to erupt like molten lava from deep within Earth's core, ready to consume everything in its path if unleashed without warning or restraint. "It means we need clarity," my father-in-law said bravely, despite knowing full well how precarious this situation truly was. Like standing atop cliffs overlooking turbulent seas below, waiting patiently for waves crashing against rocks below, claiming lives lost forevermore within depths unknown, lurking just beneath surface, waiting patiently strike when least expected, catching off guard, leaving vulnerable, exposed, raw, stripped bare, nothing left hide behind anymore except shame, regret, sorrow. Clinging tightly, refusing let go, dragging down further depths, despair, hopelessness, creeping closer, threatening drown completely unless found, way back shore, safe harbor, sought refuge amidst chaos swirling all around, desperately seeking solace, peace, quiet, comfort, found nowhere else except perhaps within arms one another, if only allowed themselves indulge such fantasies, whispered softly behind closed doors where no one else could hear them breathe, life dreams long extinguished. "Clarity?" my husband echoed incredulously while glancing toward me, then back again, disbelief mingling seamlessly alongside anger painted vividly across features contorted into masks reflecting emotions roiling just beneath surface, threatening spill forth any moment now, unless controlled, somehow magically contained until better times arrive once more, offering respite from storms raging outside, world beyond, walls surrounding, sanctuary built carefully over years spent nurturing, bonds forged through trials endured together, weathering storms side by side, battling demons, lurking shadows cast upon bright shining surfaces, polished smooth, reflecting only what wanted seen, not what truly lay beneath layers, carefully constructed facades crafted expertly disguise realities. Faced daily, navigating treacherous waters, fraught danger lurking just below surface, waiting patiently strike when least expected, catching off guard, leaving vulnerable, exposed, raw, stripped bare, nothing left hide behind anymore except shame, regret, sorrow, clinging tightly, refusing let go, dragging down further depths, despair, hopelessness, creeping closer, threatening drown completely unless found, way back shore, safe harbor, sought refuge amidst chaos swirling all around, desperately seeking solace, peace, quiet, comfort, found nowhere else except perhaps within arms one another, if only allowed themselves indulge such fantasies, whispered softly behind closed doors where no one else could hear them breathe, life dreams long extinguished. And just like that, the dam broke open, unleashing torrents upon unsuspecting shores, flooding everything once held dear, drowning hopes, dreams, desires, crushed beneath waves, crashing mercilessly against fragile hearts yearning desperately escape confines created by choices made along way, leading inevitably toward crossroads looming ahead, casting shadows longer than ever imagined possible, leaving only question lingering unanswered, hanging heavy, air thick, suffocating silence surrounding all three. Caught midst whirlwind emotions spiraling downwards, spiraling faster than anyone anticipated, consequences looming large, threatening, engulf entire lives, forever changed, irrevocably altered, course taken. What would happen next?